Here in the prayer garden behind our ministry center, I've just returned from a series of meetings following this morning's historic arguments at the U.S. Supreme Court in the Mojave Desert Cross case. Many of you are a part of this case, certainly through your prayers, your concerns, but you may have loaned your name to the petition that is part of the brief, the filing with the court, and you've been tracking on this. It is very important. And to watch the spectacle this morning from the courtroom, I was there in a reserved seat, there as a guest of the marshal's office to hear these arguments. Of course, we had presented our own brief. You watched, I hope you watched, the conversation I had with our constitutional attorney, Bernie Reese, who authored our brief that was filed with the court as part of this case. I also talked with some of the other lawyers, Kelly Shackelford, who defended the veterans of foreign wars, who are the actual owners of the cross, and that's part of the story. You have to read about it. It's all going to be documented on our website. You can Google it. There's lots of information about it, but the United States Congress, in order to protect this cross, actually transferred ownership of it to the veterans of foreign wars. That was a big question among many of the justices this morning as they were peppering the attorneys. They wanted to establish whether that transaction that the Congress passed as a law, a statute representing you and me as U.S. citizens, transferring ownership to the VFW, which is a private entity which would allow for the cross to remain on that property. But of course, there were a lot of other underlying questions, whether in fact, for example, the order to take down the cross issued by a lower federal court was even constitutional in the first place. There were some hints at that question, not a lot, but there were questions about legal standing, a lot of legalese, a lot of details in the arcane, complex rules that are involved in court jurisdiction and so forth. But really, the real issue was whether a cross may stand as a memorial to those who have given their all, sacrificed their lives to protect our liberties. Had the cross not been part of this war memorial, I guarantee you it was quite clear from everything that happened this morning at the Supreme Court that this would never be in the court in the first place. No one would have ever challenged it. And I took umbrage. I took issue with something that the lawyer for the man who started this lawsuit, the ACLU is involved, and of course there is a lawyer for the man who sued. One person was offended by this cross and got this whole thing going. It's been in the courts now for 7 years. And no doubt countless hundreds of thousands of tax dollars have been spent on it. But he said that this cross suggested that only Christian soldiers were being memorialized here. Well, that's preposterous. As Justice Scalia said, the cross is a universal symbol of honor for those who lie in repose, for those who have passed on. It transcends any religious sectarianism, and I'm going to prove the point by showing you this photo. This is my uncle, Captain Robert L. Schenck, a Jewish American citizen who served his country with distinction, and I am named for this uncle. He gave his life while in service to our country. He had distinguished himself flying bombing raids over Germany during World War II. He felt he hadn't given enough to his country, so he re-upped, signed up again, and died on a mission over Korea. And he wore his Distinguished Flying Cross right here with honor. He took it as a great badge of honor. He bore this cross without any offense as a Jewish American citizen. And I can tell you from my family's legacy that my Uncle Bobby, as he was known, the man I never knew, but whose name I bear through life very proudly, as a memorial, a memento to him, I can tell you he wore his cross without any offense. So today was a difficult day to call. I'm not a prophet, neither am I the son of a prophet, so I can't predict for you how the court's going to go on this. But from what I saw and heard in the courtroom, I would say it's going to be a 5-4. I don't know if that wind is trying to tell us something here, but it's getting windy here. But let me tell you, I think it's going to be a 5-4 victory for the cross. It's going to be very narrow, which is going to open up all kinds of windows for the ACLU to come back on other war memorials and other displays that include religious elements. But I think it's going to be a victory. Let's pray to that end. We won't hear until sometime next year. Could be as early as January or as late as June. We're going to keep sending messages to the court because they are, among other things, to contemplate the sentiments of the American people. So we'll be sending them the message you want them to hear. We'll keep you posted. That's what I have for you for now. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for praying. God bless.